It's so tiresome, so groan-worthy. Like, it comes off to me like this person was 15. I need dates here. There needs to be dates here.
I think you can see where this is going.
Transparently trying to get out of controversy. Not good, not good. Which one of you guys was it? Who shared a padded room with Erin Green? Is there any more accountability or even talking about bad things you did? 90% of the runtime is just talking about all the miserable, suicidal times that they've had in their life. More questions than answers. Okay, right. Now let's pull up the Erin Green stuff. All right. So my understanding of this is that this is a trans person who was cancelled by Keffals, okay? A person called Erin Green. Now, I believe that it's basically just accepted, but you age restrict your video. Is there any visual element to this video, or is it purely audio? Oh, it's just her face. Okay,
With her to clear my head.
I'll put up a picture. I'll screenshot it, put up a picture, and we'll play it off screen, okay? Yeah, so my understanding of this situation is that Erin Green doesn't really contest the idea that she dated a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, 15 or 16-year-old when she was in like her mid-20s or something. But Erin Green is a trans person who was cancelled by Keffals. That's basic. That's it. Okay, trans person cancelled by Keffals. Only claim to fame, only relevance. Just a Twitter trans who Keffals didn't like. So 15 or 16, yeah. So it's like mid-20s, 15 or 16. They accused Erin of grooming without substantiation of the actual actions that were taken, I think. But Erin's rebuttal is, but the 16-year-old punched me. I'm going to be real. Like, 16 and mid-20s. First of all, I've heard, you know, I've heard 15 before, I feel like. I'm not sure, though. I could be wrong. Well, except 16. 16 and mid-20s is, like, pretty crazy, I think. Like, it might be legal in your state. I'm not really sure it's a good idea. So, I mean, I guess let's give the video a listen. Let's give it a listen. Whoops, wrong one. Where's my Quiggler? All right, so this is called Taking Accountability, and we're going to speed it up because she's monotone and boring. Okay.
I don't know what to say here. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably already know a bunch of the stuff that's going around about me. This is all too much. I can't do this.
It's not a denim jacket, it's a denim shirt, but okay, guys, let's move on from that.
I've lost everyone. My family's dead. I've lost all of my friends.
I was in a bad place. So yeah, this is Queen Bee saying this is an old clip of her upset. This is an old voice recording, I guess.
Lux is sharing intimate details about my past to paint me as some sort of and now I hear there's going to be some big drop or something like that tomorrow.
Cool.
I don't know what to say.
Hey everyone. You might not know who I am, but if you've heard of me, you've probably heard the allegations surrounding me. Now, a little over 2 years after the allegations were first posted, I think it's time I take accountability for my actions and tell the truth. You might rightfully wonder what's taken me so long. A large part of that healing was thanks to my lovely partner Miranda.
This is the same person. This is Erin.
Who's helped me in more ways than I even know myself. She's been my light and my rock through a lot of this. She's been the one to hold me and comfort me when I panic about this. And without her, I wouldn't be here today. I also want to thank a lot of my friends who gave me a chance in the face of these allegations, who took the time to hear me out, see the evidence I have, and come to their own conclusions. I never ask anyone to defend me, as I know how absolutely insane harassment can get, but some think I'm worth it, and I'm incredibly grateful to them. One last thing before we get started. I'm not defending myself or justifying anything I've done. I'm not asking for forgiveness or even hoping people will change their minds. If you don't like me, you're right. You don't have to. In this video, I'm going to focus a lot on the lies that were spread about me. Things spun out of control very quickly, and the truth became so distorted that people have no idea what is true and what is not. A lot of people justify this, saying, we need to protect children from the terrible predator Erin Green. But in my opinion, if you wanted to protect anyone, you should be speaking the truth. Lying about this kind of thing only gives cover to real predators. Lying will destroy your credibility when your lies are eventually found out and make it less likely people are willing to believe you going forward. I will only be telling the truth, and no one should have a problem with that. One of the biggest allegations against me is that I groomed my ex-partner Lux into a sexual relationship when she was 15. This has since morphed into people saying that I convinced her to move to Colorado when she was 15 to get her away from her parents so that I could manipulate and control her. None of this is true. Here is the truth. In 2011, when I was 21, I moved into my friend's place to get away from a toxic home environment.
Okay, immediately, I want to know, how old was this person? Were they 15? Because 21 and 15 is crazy. 21 and 16, still not good, but I'm a little bit more accepting. a little bit. I can imagine like 21 and 16 meeting a part-time service job and things being fine. I can imagine that. It's not going to be common, but I can imagine it. What is the circumstance here? How are you meeting this person? Yeah, there needs to be. I'd like some information here.
He was 23 and in college and lived with some of his classmates. He had a good group of friends, all older than me, and I got to meet them, know them, and try to build a new life for myself. Lux was part of their friend group and went to anime conventions with them frequently. I met her during one of the winter holiday parties they had. During this party, I was fighting with my boyfriend over the phone, and we ended up breaking up. Pretty visibly upset at the time, and Lux approached me asking if I wanted to go for a walk with her to clear my head. I agreed, and we walked around the apartment complex for a few minutes before heading over to a nearby gas station for some drinks.
Okay, I actually want to slow this down. She actually doesn't talk too slow. It is monotone, but actually getting through the information at a decent pace, so I'm gonna slow this down.
On the way back, we sat and talked outside a little bit more,
now all of a sudden,
and she asked me if I had ever been with a woman. I told her no, that I was pretty confidently gay at the time, but might consider it if the right woman came along. She asked if I wanted to fool around with her so that I would know what to do when the time came. I knew she was younger than the rest of my friends' friends, but when I asked her what her age was, she simply laughed and said, "Don't worry, I'm legal." I am sad to say that I did not verify her age as I should have. I did not ask her for a physical ID card. I took her at her word, and later found out she was 16 years old. When she said, "Don't worry, I'm legal," she meant in Kentucky, as the age of consent there was 16. I regret that I did not do my due diligence during this encounter.
Okay, this is pure he said, she said, right? This is just like we can't... Oh, here's a mega of the video. Awesome. Unless there's like something in these screenshots, that's like pure he said, she said. Like I don't know. So what's the date of this hookup? Like, is there a way that we can verify that this person was 16 at the time if they're claiming 15? I would like a bit more evidence than that, like something more tangible to grab onto. Just saying I asked and they said they were legal, that's not like crazy compelling. But then I haven't seen the evidence against her, so I don't know how compelling any of it is. I'm just saying that 21 and 16 is just immediately setting off a bunch of red flags.
My own apartment with who was my friend that I did not do my due diligence during this encounter. When I found out the truth, I cut her off and began dating a woman who was my friend for many years. It was difficult for me to avoid Lux, though, as she started showing up to group events more and more. Eventually, I would move into my own apartment with my new partner and was finally able to keep my privacy. Several years later, my partner at that time and I broke up. She had moved to California.
I feel like have we skipped something here? No.
And I was looking to move to Reno. I said my goodbyes to my friends and began my long road trip across the country. My first year there, I had things well enough together to afford a flight home to Kentucky for Christmas and brought gifts for my friends. I did see Lux again during the Christmas event and did my best to be amenable during the holiday, but by the time I returned to Reno, we were again not on speaking terms. More years later, my brother had passed away and my mother was not handling things well. I decided to move back to Kentucky to try to help her get off drugs and get her life back together after his passing. I spent Christmas 2018 there with her, though she seemed more interested in going to the bathroom every 20 minutes to hit her meth pipe than she did in enjoying the holiday with her family. One day that week, I found her fallen out in the laundry room from taking too much heroin. I moved her to the couch and called 911 immediately. Paramedics came and handled the situation.
This is, if your video is, I'm going to need some serious justification for why this story is in your video called Taking Accountability. Because taking accountability doesn't mean I'm about to share with you all the bad things that happened to me. That's, actually typically those two things are in opposition with each other.
Got her to the emergency room and saved her life. Still, she denied everything. I found her drug stash and confronted her, and she continued to deny.
What has prompted this need for accountability? Did Wu tell her, if you want to appear on the Dollcast, you must self-flagellate on video first? Oh, we haven't even spoken about the Dollcast, have we? I feel like we should... I'll mention this now, and we'll circle back to this at the end. This, Erin Green is now getting in good with Brianna Wu, just as Brianna Wu is starting her new podcast with, So... Oh my god, it's like all the worst, like, it's like all Twitter pick me transes. It's like so painful. It's like excruciating, man. I just cannot stand, dude. I was about to say online trans people, but I've understand any of the trans people I've met in real life either. So I just can't stand them. It's fucking crazy. It's so fucking insane. See, Taftage is like not crazy, like annoying, but it is just like, oh, look, oh, we're all such edgy T-words, all the edgy T-words. Look at how edgy, we're such edgy T-words getting together and being edgy T-words. You know, it's so fucking tiresome. It's so tiresome, so groan-worthy.
During my birthday in 2019, we had an encounter that convinced me that I could not continue to live there, that she did not want to accept the help I was offering. So I reached out to friends who still lived here to see if any of them would help me move into a new place and find a new place to live. Lux reached out to me and said that I could stay with her and her family for a while before she moved to Colorado with 2 of her other friends. I took her up on that offer, having nothing else as an option. She helped me find a job at the place she worked, and for a majority of that year, I was delivering pizzas with her, trying to save money.
Yo, thank you for the membership upgrade, Ryan Thomas. Thank you. Yeah, the pick me trans stuff is disgraceful and spiritually bankrupt. Great wording there, Deep Realm. Great wording. I feel like, you know, it is like, as much as I'm not on board with all the trans stuff, it does, you know, so many people fucking hate, like genuinely fucking hate. And you can say, like, with serious venom, fucking hate trans people. So it does feel kind of weird for them to, like, you know, activate their trash panda chips and just totally sell out. You know, it's sort of like, ugh. Well, I don't want to see him trying to, like, get my vote, you know? I don't want to see him trying to pander to my politics. Fucking fight for your shit, all right?
As the year progressed, her friends would drop out of the move to Colorado. She asked me if I would go with her instead. Again, having nothing else in front of me, I accepted her offer, and in January 2020, we began our move to Colorado. We spent the entire month of February and most of March that year in an Airbnb before moving into our 2-bedroom apartment on March 20th. Up until that point,
John.
The plan had been for each of us to take a bedroom with her.
The tune chip. The tune chip. Your tune chip is
Hers being the master, since it was her savings that got us here. The first day we moved in, she asked me if I would consider sharing the master bedroom with her and be in a relationship with her. That question gave me pause, so I asked her about our past and if she felt affected negatively by it. I knew enough at this point to know it was a bad idea to be in a relationship together if our past would affect it. We had a long conversation, but ultimately she told me that she didn't think it would be an issue because she had initiated things back then, and she's the one initiating things now. Once again, I took her at her word and agreed. Our relationship went pretty normally for the first year, as normal.
So wait. Okay, I'm just trying. So yeah, I don't know what age they're at this point, and what they only met when she was 16. That was the first time they met. Wasn't she was absolutely 16? Like, I need evidence. I need dates. Like, yeah, this is like a terrible allegation response video. You need like dates here, preferably substantiated dates with birthdays, and like I need to know. I need to be able to work out what the ages were at what point. You know, how much responsibility did you have? There needs to be, yeah.
As could be, given we were now living in COVID world. Most of our time was spent indoors playing games with each other. I made some new friends online and through discussions with them decided to pursue my long-delayed transition. Lux found some clothes that I had purchased off Amazon to wear in private.
So many of them must have done it during COVID, man. What were the stats on this? Was there a surge in COVID?
And confronted me about them. During our argument, I blurted out that I'm trans and I'm going to pursue this future for myself. Things calmed down a little after that, and we had another discussion about the future. She asked me about names I thought about. We talked about clothes, and she gave me some of her old clothes she didn't want anymore to see if I liked wearing them. At the end of our conversation, I again brought up our past. I knew back then that it was common for trans women to be persecuted and called pedophiles and sexual predators. And I didn't want to harm a community of people I had grown to really care about if she thought I had abused her. I told her I wouldn't continue with my desire to transition if she felt that I had abused her in our past. She assured me again that she wasn't abused and said that no matter what happened between us, even if we broke up, she wouldn't go around calling me a pedophile or a sexual predator. And once again, I trusted her when I should not have. 2022.
Wait. Okay, no, this doesn't make any sense. So, why would she call you a pedophile or a sexual predator if she was 16 and told you she was legal when it first happened? It seems like you were kind of fine with that. You were accepting of that at the time. But now you think she's gonna call you a pedophile? Like, it comes off to me like this person was 15. I need dates here. There needs to be dates here. Because the rest of the story doesn't feel like it makes sense unless this person was 15 at the time. And they've claimed that the claim has always been this person was 15 at the time. Where's 1 minute? I want to go back and look at something.
Show up.
Not this shit. This they actually spoke to food shops a long time ago. We watched this when it happened.
To be friends with, because if they're going to leave my life, I'd rather them leave my life sooner than later. But yeah.
Sure. What, if anything, in the video was false? It seems like you agree that you were 21 and she was 16, but there seems to be some disagreement about 15.
Yeah, I don't know about the whole 15 thing. As far as I know, I didn't do anything with her when she was 15. It's not like I was either like waiting for her to turn 16 or whatever either. It was just that when it happened, that's what her age was.
Wait, so
how do you meet her?
So wait, she might have known her when she was 15. Yeah, so we left this part out, that we don't know that this is like they've had like a friendship and then got a dude.
To begin with, then?
hold on. So let's be clear.
Man, this
Right.
why did food shops used to do this in these fucking videos with the fucking chapter slides? So fucking AIDS.
Yeah.
Do you understand that I am coming from a place of good faith questioning?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand that I...
When do I add chapter slides?
Okay. All right. If you understand that. Okay. Do you... According to you, do you have you had any kind of intention of
Questions that the internet would care about is, if you want to answer again, would be, do you think it's ethical for a 21-year-old to have a sexual or romantic relationship with a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old, and then further, someone your age now with a 15 or a 16-year-old?
No and no. I think that knowing what I know now about like power dynamics and stuff like that, a lot of times like these younger people will look up to you as a role model, and it's not right for you to abuse your position of quote unquote power in that situation. I think that, you know, things can get lost a little bit with people like that. As 21 is still very, very young in the grand scheme of things. You haven't really had a lot of years to live an adult life. I hesitate comparing like a 20.
I'm not convinced by any of this.
It doesn't have any idea of like what actually took place and what our friendship was like. I think she kind of alluded to the fact that I quote unquote groomed Lux from 15 and I was dating her since she was that young.
Mhm.
That's not true. There's a lot of falsehoods in the assertions that she made, and she never
Just
Thank you
wanted
for
to
the
simp a little.
$5. Thank you.
bothered to research any of it, and she just posted a hit piece on me because she knew it would get views, because drama gets views.
Okay. And you're in a polyamorous relationship right now, and who are like what is the age of the people that you're dating? Go.
I'm dating a 33-year-old who is 1 month and 1 day younger than me, and I am dating a 31-year-old who is, oh, sorry, I think I said she was 30 earlier. She had her birthday in August. I totally forgot about that.
Okay.
She's 31. She's 2.5 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And and how long ago was Lux and you, like the 21 and 16 thing, like how long ago was that?
That was 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Okay. When Keffals says in that video, right, 11 months ago, I think it's around 11 months ago that Keffals made that PSA video, right? That basically started, kind of started the entire harassment thing, right?
Yeah.
she said that you were a current and present danger or something along the lines of that, right? Or something similar to that, right? It doesn't matter. I guess in your opinion, what would be a clear and present danger?
A clear and present danger would be that I'm actively talking to minors. I'm actively like trying to groom people and trying to be in sexual relationships with them, or even romantic.
Okay, I think I would probably agree. Like, it does sound like this was a long time ago, and this person's a lot older now and does date people their own age. It doesn't sound like this person is a crazy danger. However, it feels like they're trying to worm out of any. They're trying to like totally shirk this. I don't think there's enough to totally shirk this. I think you did do something kind of weird here. And I'm not saying that the facts of the case are being disputed. Not well, anyway. Erin said it was during COVID. No, yeah, but if she's in like her 30s now, and she met this person when she was 21 and they were 15 or 16, there must have been a gap in that relationship, right? They met again later, or they didn't, or they started dating properly later. So was it necessarily like full-blown grooming? I'm not sure, but I think there was something. It does sound like I was saying kind of weird going on here. I'm just not being shown evidence to dispute it. I'm like not being shown evidence. I need to see birthdays, text messages with dates. You know, how did you stop speaking again? How did you get back in contact? I mean, I guess we'll wait. Apparently, there's texts later on in this. We'll see.
To help a couple of friends move to Colorado and live with us so they could get easier access to the healthcare they needed, and so we could afford to continue living in Colorado. As the year progressed, Lux and I began fighting more. Accusations of cheating were slung at me over something we both discussed and agreed upon beforehand. I made the decision to end our relationship, which she didn't take well. She stole my keys and left the apartment for hours before coming back. She apologized for the fight and for stealing my keys, and asked if we could continue the relationship if she allowed me to pursue polyamory. I told her that it wasn't a decision to be made lightly, that I don't think that's what she really wanted, but told her to take a week to think about it before we came back to the table. At the end of the week, I asked her if she wanted to pursue this for herself, or if she was just saying it to get back together with me. She said she wanted it for herself. I think you can see where this is going.
Okay,
I trusted her when I shouldn't have. It was only a couple weeks after that we were back to fighting about the same things. After speaking to a dozen friends about what I should do, I broke up with her again for the final time. Here I'm going to show some screenshots of conversations between a friend of mine, Chimera, and myself. These were the types of discussions I was having with my friends.
Just a normal name, Chimera.
About my issues in my relationship with Lux and what they advised of me to do. Chimera said, "Even if it's not intentional, what Lux is doing is abusive behaviors, and it's not fucking fair. You deserve better. This is not how a relationship should be. I like Lux. I don't think she is a bad
I don't care. I want to see what you were saying. I want to see your recollection of the events.
Bad person, but you two are not a good fit for each other, and I don't say that lightly.
I don't care that your friend said, wow, yeah, it sounds like you're going through a real tough time.
Like, I know a lot of couples who are not good fits, but I have never gone as far as to say they should break up. But Erin, like, holy fuck, you're being emotionally manipulated, and she knows she can take advantage of how kind and loving you are." I sent Chimera a video about trauma bonding and whether that was considered love or not. And I asked her, "Will you watch this, please, and tell me what you think? I'm crying. This just came on my feed." Chimera said, "I think what they've just said describes what you've told me about your relationship to a T." I said, "But you only get one side. Like, maybe I'm not the best at telling it. IDK, it feels like I'm in the wrong here." Chimera replied, "There are two possibilities. One, your eyes, ears, and emotions are deceiving you. Everyone who knows you and the situation is lying and being dramatic. Lux treats you well despite everyone's best judgment, including your..."
Yeah, I need to know what was going on here. Like, why am I being given your, like, assessment of this, but not the actual events?
Or two, you've tricked yourself into believing you're wrong because you're trauma bonded. That night, she and Lucy came into the bedroom to confront me about the relationship I had been pursuing with someone else, which was already cleared as okay by Lux. She lied to Lucy to garner support and started what was an incredibly uncomfortable confrontation. She and Lucy demanded that I sleep on the couch that night and said we would talk about it together in the morning. Morning came and went, and rather than discuss things, I found them both posting about things on Twitter. I no longer felt safe there, so I left. At the advice of Daisy, I stayed away for a couple weeks, which only seemed to make things worse for Lux, as she was on Twitter telling thousands of people that I had abandoned them, that I had cheated on her by having sex with 65 different people in her bed, that she had given me herpes and I gave it to others, that I quit my job and was using everyone to live an easier life for myself. None of that was true either. All three of them, Lux, Lucy, and Daisy, told me they didn't want me there. They said I no longer had any right to live.
Okay, this can all be true. They can have lied about her, made up a bunch of shit, you know, tried to make you sound like a terrible person. You could have also done something bad. I feel like calling this video taking accountability is very misleading. That's not what you're doing here.
Live there, but demanded that I continue to pay them rent for the remainder of the lease. I got a full panel STI test and proved that I don't have a single STI, not even herpes. I showed everyone the letter I received from my employer telling me I had taken too much time off work since I was a remote worker and my computer was still with Lux, and they had to let me go. But none of it mattered. Everyone already bought into the narrative that Lux was my victim, and no amount of evidence or proof was going to change anyone's mind. In desperation to be heard, I made the infamous thread that I'm sure you've all seen. People only ever post the screenshot of the first post, though, not the rest of the thread. I wonder why that is.
I haven't seen it. No, can I say... No, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't. This is a terrible taking accountability video. You are not taking accountability here. Show us the allegations and dispel them.
Found out that during the time period...
Or, you know, cop to the things that you should. This is like, this is just transparently trying to get out of controversy. Like, you're not doing like a holistic debunking or copping to the things you know you did wrong.
Lux was lobbing accusations at me. She was abusing whippets and was in daily conversation with people who were encouraging her drug use.
Like, why is this the part you're showing evidence for? Show evidence for the other... She does drugs. No, show us evidence for the other stuff. That's what we care about.
And kept asking her to attack me publicly. I started receiving death threats and people accusing me of pedophilia and grooming from anonymous accounts. I was finally able to get them to agree to another conversation about things. This is the conversation that I would later find out Lux recorded and sent to Fargoth, one of the main perpetrators of the lies and cancellation campaign against me. I came up to speak with Lux and Daisy and told them what I had been receiving. They both apologized. Lux said she was sorry. Then, as the conversation was ending, she surprised me with the accusation featured in Keffals' video about me. So why did you have sex with me when I was 15? This was such a nefarious question. She knows the truth. She knows the whole reason we did anything in the first place was because she convinced me she was legal.
Okay.
She told me for...
So, that sounds like you did just cop to fucking a 15-year-old. I'm sorry, look, okay. Jay Stook's right, okay? Jay Stook is just right. I have to know what the kid looked like, okay? Jay Stook is just right about this. I have to know what the kid looked like. If the kid said, I'm legal, and looked 19, 20, it's like, okay, well, look, you reasonably could have thought this was an 18-year-old. You tried to do, you were acting on the best information. You know, most people don't ID anyone, okay? So, like, if they look like 19, it's like, all right, I understand why when they say, trust me, I'm legal, you would be like, you wouldn't even think about it twice. But they're 15, so I don't know how likely that is. If they were 15, again, we're trusting, but no, she would know. No, Erin would know what age. If they dated for a long time, she would have known when it happened, and she would have known the birthday. Erin is, I feel like this is tacitly confirming that they were 15. So yeah, I would have to know, like, to really know if this person was like acting super bad, acting super weird, I would have to know what they looked like, how old they looked. But regardless, we've kind of copped to the allegation part of the, well, you know, the key part of the allegation here. It's just, yeah. Not good. Not good. Well, she didn't have a relationship with a 15-year-old, okay? This is a thing, right? Hooked up when she was 15 and lied claiming 16, apparently. Years later, they date. Yeah, this is years later they date. I believe that this girl's in like her 20s. The 15-year-old girl is now in her 20s by the time they're dating. Anyway, let's carry on.
For years, that we only ever did things at her request. She knows the many conversations we had about our past before I ever transitioned, before I agreed to date her in the first place. I was surprised that after all this time, she chose now to confront me about it. If she felt like I was an abuser, that I was a sexual predator who used her, why would she ask me to live with her? Why would she ask me to move to Colorado with her? Why would she ask me to be in a relationship with her? Why wouldn't she take any one of the multiple opportunities she had to confront me about it? It didn't make sense. I was shocked. I had no idea she was recording or what her intentions were. I told her that felt like coercion to me, as that was one of the big things we fought about during our relationship.
Okay, look, I've got to wind this back a minute. I'm like losing track of this story. We've got to watch some of this over again.
I came up to speak with Lux and Daisy and told them what I had been receiving. They both apologized. Lux said she was sorry. Then, as the conversation was ending, she surprised me with the accusation featured in Keffals' video about me. So why did you have sex with me when I was 15? This was such a nefarious question. She knows the truth. She knows the whole reason we did anything in the first place was because she convinced me she was legal. She told me for years that we only ever did things at her request. She knows the many conversations we had about our past before I ever transitioned, before I agreed to date her in the first place. I was surprised that after all this time, she chose now to confront me about it. If she felt like I was an abuser, that I was a sexual predator who used her, why would she ask me to live with her? Why would she ask me to move to Colorado with her? Why would she ask me to be in a relationship with her? Why wouldn't she take any one of the multiple opportunities she had to confront me about it? It didn't make sense. I was shocked. I had no idea she was recording or what her intentions were. I told her that felt like coercion to me, as that was one of the big things we fought about during our relationship. She would emotionally manipulate me to get what she wanted out of me, and that didn't change from day one. So I asked her that, if she thought it wasn't coercion, what she wanted out of such an accusation. I didn't get a straight answer, and still to this day, even after everything that would happen afterward, I don't know. I started to doubt my perception of events. I asked mutual friends of ours, who had known both of us for a decade or more, what they thought, if Lux ever told them that she felt that I had preyed on her. They both said the same thing. Groomed her? Wasn't she in her 20s when you started dating? How old was she when you met? When we met, she was 16. She asked me back then to date her, and I told her over and over again no. Then I started dating blank. When we started dating, I think she was 24 and I was 30.
Saying when we met, she was 16 now. It seemed like we copped to 15 a minute ago. I don't like this at all. I'm not a fan of this response.
But it was also when COVID was happening, and honestly, I didn't think I would live through that. To be honest, I've known her since she was 11 or 12. If anyone assisted in grooming her, it would have been Heather or Hina, at least while she was that young. I don't know who Heather is. A really not great person who we were friends with back then. Like, Blank and her were pretty close. We hung out a lot before you came back. I mean, all our Colorado trips were while you were still living in Arizona, which actually was Nevada. I'm pretty sure. I'm sure she talked about you a lot, but her disposition was always super normal. She always just felt like you were a normal friend. From what I could tell. She definitely didn't feel like you had groomed her as a minor, and now she was hopelessly in love with you forever and always going to be subject to your manipulation or anything like that. It's very obvious to anyone that has known you for years that that shit is just retaliation and coming out of nowhere. Things got a lot worse from here. The harassment online only increased. I found myself losing friends every day. No one wanted to hear my side of events. They only wanted to believe Lux. It got so bad that the people I was staying with said they didn't want me there anymore. Faced with homelessness, I attempted to take my own life with sleeping pills. One of my friends from Kentucky got word of this and called the police, who
Again,
took
like
me
this is taking accountability is not the place for your suicide story.
to the
It just
hospital.
isn't.
I was given a psychiatric evaluation and deemed a danger to myself, so I was placed under an involuntary hold for 5 days, which I spent in one of the mental hospitals here. Originally, I was going to be placed in the women's ward, but when I told the nurse I had not had surgery yet, I was moved to the men's, where I spent the next 5 days next to a self-professed Nazi who, quote, hated transgenders for targeting children. Somehow, I survived that, and the people
Trans rights, guys. Trans rights. Okay.
I was staying with picked me up and brought me back to their place. We had dinner together, and they apologized, saying that I was welcome to stay for as long as I needed to get back on my feet.
Womp womp.
Thank you, Sister Godiva, for the 70 sec. Thank you very much.
At some point that evening, I got up to use the restroom, and my memory is blank from there. I awoke on the bedroom floor with those two.
Yeah, which one of you guys was it? Which one of you guys was it? Who shared the padded room with Erin Green? Who was it?
Dragging my body into the kitchen. I was told that I fell and injured myself on the kitchen tile. They took me to the hospital where I was x-rayed, and it was discovered that my jaw was broken in 3 places. I was whisked away to a large hospital in Denver where I was prepped for surgery. While waiting for a room, I received a long text message from Lux, apologizing for things and promising to make everything right. Erin, at no point did I ever want you to feel unsafe or be hurt. I never wanted you to be in pain. I truly believed that you were welcome to stay at Erin's. I don't know the details of your stay or why she could no longer continue to house you there. I wanted you to be in a safe place while you take steps to reestablish employment and find alternative residency. For a moment, it was looking quite hopeful, and I thought the dust was settling. You were even streaming from time to time. I had briefly found some peace as well. After the recent shooting, I realized the last thing I said to you was, I don't care what happens to you. This is a lie. I do care about what happens to you. I care very deeply. I need you to know this.
Okay.
I regret not speaking to you sooner to tell you how else I'm feeling under the anger and frustration and barriers I've put up. I need to tell you that in some way, even in pain, I still love you. I need you to be okay. I regret not allowing myself any emotional vulnerability towards you for this long. I think I could have reduced the amount of pain overall. I'm sorry I didn't allow room for that communication. I'm sorry that I've completely dismissed you and shut you out when I could have been there for you somehow. I care about what happens to you. I want you to be okay. Please be okay. I certainly cannot grasp the scope of how traumatizing that experience must have been for you. I'm so sorry you went through that. Please know I did not want that for you. I don't have any idea what prompted such an extreme response. I was under the impression that Erin had made the call. The last information I had before your message was that she was going to ask you to move out. She tweeted that she was going to remove someone she was living with that day, and later on posted, update, she's gone.
Does any of this, is this just them reaching out and being nice, or is there any relevance to this?
You sent me that message, and with the information I had at that point, I assumed something very bad had happened when Erin asked you to move out, and she had to make a call for your safety. I messaged her to ask if she was okay, and expressed my skepticism about the situation, because I was in shock and disbelief. I was terrified too. Your safety was my first concern. I only have an idea of what those places can be like. I was so scared, but I can't imagine how you felt. I convinced myself that it must have been a situation where you definitely would have died if they didn't come, and that surely it was preferable to having to go to your funeral. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't want this to happen. I wanted you to get help and get better, but on your own terms.
Yeah, they're just saying they feel bad about you being sectioned, like institutionalized. It's not, this isn't very good.
I don't have enough information to know what prompted someone to make that call. There are people who still care about you. Erin, I want you to be okay. I want you to be safe. I want you to continue living your life and doing the things you love. I do believe you deserve that. I don't want to lose you. Please be okay. Please don't give up. This is not the end.
Fuck suicide.
Message me when you're able to after surgery. 40 minutes I go in. Thank you, I will. Everything will be okay. When you're closer to release, we can have a discussion about boundaries and expectations for having
voice. Dude.
you live here again. I think we can find a way to make it work. At the end of the text message, she referenced my chest tattoo, which I got when I lived in Reno after Chester Bennington's suicide. It reads, "This is not the end," and I got it as a reminder to myself that, despite how bad things look, it's not over until it's over. She knew that it was an incredibly meaningful statement for me, and looking at what happened after this, I can only assume it was another one of her attempts at emotional manipulation. One of our mutual friends, one of the two who was supposed to move to Colorado with her but backed out, agreed. You see why I felt like I could never leave her, right? She told me privately she hoped that our past would keep us together. Like I knew she could ruin my life at any time. She was so coercive.
Okay, it feels like every step of the way, you're like kind of admitting that you did something wrong and weird. I knew she could ruin my life at any time. It feels like you're just like constantly telling on yourself that you did something kind of wrong and weird. I don't know what else to take from this. This is such a terrible response video. Especially when, okay, look, I don't know, like, you're 21, you're about to fuck someone, you have to have some kind of, like, sense that something's not right to be asking their age in that circumstance. Like, I never, when I was 21, never felt the need to ask anyone's age. I don't know about anyone else in chat, if you were asking for ages at 21. In fact, I've never asked for an age ever. I've never had to even think about it. I've always just known. So I feel like if you're 21, like you're not even old. You're not even like mid-20s. And you're asking for ages? Like it feels like you have to know there's something, like this person has to look young enough to where that's a concern. Or seem young enough to where that's a concern. Which at 21, that's kind of crazy.
And then after doing it, now she's saying she's sorry and never meant for you to get hurt. What kind of trauma bonding shit is this situation? It's actually insane. She visited me in the hospital late that night.
It's not a dating online problem. This happened in real life. They had a real life friend group, I believe. And they met in real life for the first time and they fucked. It was like a hookup. After
I finally received my room. We spoke about the course of events over the last several weeks, and again, she promised me that she would make things right.
Well, who accepts the answer, I'm legal, instead of the actual number? Well, I mean, people who are fine with fucking 16 and 17-year-olds, because that's what that probably means. Right? I feel like if you say, I'm legal, and not an adult or 18, it comes off like, okay, so you mean 16, 17. You mean 16, 17. You mean one of those two.
Encouraged me to try to get through surgery and recovery, and that she would be here for me afterward. She told me that she would speak to Lucy and Daisy and ensure that I could come stay with them during my recovery. She asked to hug me, then we parted ways for the night so I could get rest for the surgery in the morning. I took a photo after my surgery the next day, and I was horrified at how I looked. I was on so many painkillers, I couldn't process a thought. My jaw hurt so much I could barely eat anything. 2 plates had been placed on either side of my jaw, and 2 screws were inserted into my chin to hold things together. I was visited by several domestic violence experts, who said they spoke with my surgeon and determined it was unlikely that my injuries resulted from an accident or a fall onto a carpeted floor. They said it looked more like assault given the extent of the damage, and asked me if I had any reason to believe the people I was staying with would hurt me. I told them I couldn't remember what happened, but that I didn't think they would do that. Looking back on things now, I definitely believe that what happened to me was intentional and not an accident. Lux later came to pick me up from the hospital and take me back to the place I once called home. We were mostly quiet, but she again apologized for things, said that she spoke with both Lucy and Daisy, and they agreed to keep things civil. She told me that she would make a statement to everyone to make things right. When we got home, I was told that I was to stay on the couch and not speak to anyone. If I needed to use the restroom, I was to use the one with 3 doors, which connected to both Lucy's and Daisy's rooms. I didn't feel like it was my place to argue.
A restroom with 3 doors? The fuck?
Or ask for more. I was just happy to be in a building and not on the street. As time went on, my recovery stalled. The hardware they placed in my head led to a bone infection, and I would need an additional 3 surgeries to correct things. I was driving back and forth from North Colorado to Denver for my surgeries, which was a 3-hour trip both ways. During the third surgery, they determined...
So, I mean, is there any more accountability or even talking about bad things you did? Or is the whole last 10 minutes of this video literally just you opining about how fucking terrible your life is?
Determined that I needed the hardware removed, and my jaw was wired shut instead. I subsisted off insured drinks for a total of 6 months before I was well enough to have the wires removed. A few of my old friends heard what happened and reached out to talk to me. They said that the events of what took place horrified them. They were bearing witness to people with much more influence than me, dragging my name through the mud, not because they genuinely thought me to be a danger to anyone, but because they were, quote, tired of dealing with me. I really feel like when Poe was talking about it...
Isn't the Poe guy is cancelled now too, right? The Poe guy is now cancelled for being the Andrew Tate of GOK. He's like the GOK Andrew Tate. He was like getting in good. Poe, he was a Twitter user, a Twitter account, who was like a mad chaser, and would post like loads of trans stuff. He like was in like all the trans communities on Twitter, and then he got outed for getting in like relationships with them and coercing them into like sex work and taking money off the top. Fucking based. So it's so based.
It wasn't the situation. In Poe's words, we are all just tired of her. And from there, everyone abandoned their morality or personal convictions. They were tired of me because I didn't uncritically parrot the group narrative, especially when it came to Fargoth.
Oh wait, yeah, was he mentioned in that one suicide note that mentioned Brianna Wu as well? Was he mentioned in the Brianna Wu suicide note? They blamed like him and Brianna Wu, right? Did that person actually die or were they found alive? Because they blame Brianna Wu. And you know, I wouldn't, you know, I think that's interesting. Brianna Wu's been mentioned. I haven't mentioned a suicide note. I don't know anyone else. I haven't mentioned any suicide notes. Brianna Wu has. Pretty crazy.
Welcome to the club. I've had so many people remove me from spaces for just asking, and how does X show Y and Z? I have sources inside some of the group chats of people that don't like Erin, and when Erin comes up, they're not calling her a pedo. I had deactivated my Twitter account during recovery because it was just making things worse for me. Sadly, I waited too long to reactivate, and someone came and stole the handle I had chosen, in their words, to discourage me from coming back to Twitter.
Okay.
An introduction. I hate Erin Green. She molested someone I consider a friend. Please direct all your hate here so that Erin sees it and never shows her face in public again. I stole the name Erin Green TV to give her more incentive to never come back. I ended up deleting my account. One of my victims stole my name and now runs a parody account. Thanks a lot, Keffals. You ruined me. Lux would ask me every week or so if I would consider moving in with her after the lease ended, as Lucy and Daisy had no intention of staying. I told her I would, but first she would have to do as she promised me so many times before and tell the truth to everyone. Each time she said she would, but as time would go on, I would get no response from her.
Okay, show us that.
Eventually, she confessed to me that she was worried about making things worse by admitting the truth. She said she was worried no one would believe her, so she never said anything. I don't know what to do. If I say that it was consensual, do you think anyone would believe me? Do you think that, paired with us living together, people might assume I felt pressured to say something, regardless of what I tell them? It feels like anything I say would be received negatively, and potentially cause...
Well, I mean, but even here, we're saying consensual. Like, we could say they're reneging on the allegations, and to be fair, I would maybe... If they accused her of grooming, I'm tempted to say that, like, yeah, I don't know that it was grooming if you, like, hooked up once and she told you she was legal, and then years later you dated. I don't know that I would use the word grooming for that, but you did, like, probably fuck a 15-year-old, it sounds like. So, womp. I need dates. I need ages.
Cause you more harm. What kind of expectations do you have for the outcome of the post I make? I just mean that even if I let everyone know I don't feel that you groomed me or that you were a danger to others, would it be taken on?
I'm fine with this presentation. It's not grooming.
Honestly, if I try to reassure everyone that you're not going to do more harm to anyone, will they believe me? I just don't know. What if I do more harm to you in the process? I got a hotel room for a month during this. When I had my 4th surgery, they sent me back to the hotel to recover with enough medication for me to end my own life.
So, did you fuck a 15-year-old? Did you fuck a 15-year-old when you were 21? Tell us. I need that. Birthday? When did it happen? That's what I need. Preferably some substantiation too.
Life. And again, I attempted to do this. I was awake for 72 straight hours before finally making my decision, and I downed half a bottle of oxycodone before saying my goodbyes. I got an emotional call from the ex I dated back when I was living in Kentucky,
Womp,
and one
womp.
of my friends from that group.
Womp womp.
I could hear her screaming, crying in the background, begging for me to be okay. I stayed on the phone with them for hours before I fell asleep and woke up the next day. At that point, I gave up asking Lux to do as she promised and left.
I'm once again reminding you guys, this video is called Taking Accountability. And like 90% of the runtime is just talking about all the miserable, you know, suicidal times that they've had in their life.
Moving in with a woman I barely knew, who I met on Tinder, while I was in the hotel. I got my things, and with the help of someone else, moved everything into their place in the span of a couple days. Throughout the next few months, Lux would threaten me over Discord, telling me that I owed her thousands of dollars in rent, threatening to sue me for damages after they were the ones who told me they didn't want me there. Eventually, I blocked her, and I haven't heard from her since. That is the summary of everything that happened between Lux and I. Again, I'm not asking for anyone's forgiveness. Lux, I hope you're doing well and have made a good life for yourself after I left. I'm sorry for anything I did to hurt you. I hope you know that was never my intention. I'm sorry I couldn't be the person you wanted me to be. I don't desire to mend the bridge with you. I don't think it's a good idea for us to be in each other's lives, but I still wish you well. Some other accusations levied at me include me supposedly raping my friends when I was a minor, including my own brother. I think that's downright shameful. My brother's passed away, as I mentioned earlier, so to put yourself in his shoes and dare to speak for him, only to accuse me of something heinous, well, you should be ashamed of yourselves. As for my...
I don't like the wording there. I don't like the wording there. What was that? Dude. Yeah, they didn't say... Obviously, that didn't happen. Yeah. That's like... It's like a totally baseless claim. Like, you would just say that's a baseless, insane claim. I never raped my brother. But you didn't say that, did you? You're saying put yourself in his shoes. As if it's like... As if it does map onto some kind of real event. Dude, this video fucking sucks. That's crazy.
My friends, again, I would say that it's shameful to speak for others and accuse me of something you have no evidence for. Needless to say, these are simply...
What are we saying here? What strange fucking wording? Like, surely you just say these completely baseless claims. This never happened.
lies, told to further damage my character, at a point where no one bothered to hear me out.
There we go. Like, call them lies there, at least. Okay.
A lot of people who supported me leaving Lux when we were still together turned around to repeat these same lies about me. I have countless screenshots of death threats and outright slander against my character. I've been diagnosed with PTSD after all of this, and honestly, that's the least surprising thing that's happened. I constantly question my own judgment, I have severe trust issues, and at this point, all I want out of life is for people to know the truth about me and live the rest of my life in peace away from all of this. I want to put this all behind me, and I hope with this video, it will begin a long-delayed healing process. At this point...
You are fucking delusional. You think this video is going to make things better. That is fucking delusional.
Now provided more evidence and testimony to support my account of the events which took place than anyone has. I realize it's not tactful to ask for evidence when someone claims abuse, especially in a relationship. But when the accusation is as life-altering as one of pedophile, I think consideration for the evidence presented is worth a moment's pause. I acted irresponsibly back in 2011. I have never denied that. But this was not a case of grooming someone into a sexual relationship. This was never a case of pedophilia. This was a messy breakup.
Were they 15 when you fucked them?
That got really out of hand because a lot of internet justice warriors thought they were doing a good thing. Much like those videos of people assaulting others and calling them a pedophile, people can justify a lot of disgusting actions if they think they're doing the world a favor. In the court of public opinion, there is no due process. There are no rules. I was sentenced to death by people who barely knew me, with little to no evidence.
You're sentenced to death. They're saying mean things about you on... Okay.
These same people, Poe, Keffals, Tori, and Fargoth, have proved themselves untrustworthy time and again. I would advise you to be careful if you consider one or more of them your friend, as I once did. I want to thank you all for watching and considering...
Euphoria invoked.
What I have to say. I'm thankful for my supportive partner, Miranda, who's helped me through a lot of this and find a way to rebuild a good life for myself. I'm thankful for the friends who stuck by me, despite everything. I am thankful that my suicide attempts ended in failure. And I very much look forward to living the rest of my life with my loving partner.
Okay, this was not a good response whatsoever. More questions than answers. Sounds like you fucked 15-year-old when you're 21. That's pretty crazy. What's this tweet? Erin Green TV is a rapist and a pedophile. I'm not even taking Lux's word for it. I'm taking the word of Erin Green herself. Having sex with a 15-year-old is always rape if you're an adult. It can't not be rape. Again, I would... Look, statutory rape is obviously... Look, this is a very complicated topic to untangle, but fundamentally, sure, yeah. You absolutely should not. A 15-year-old cannot reasonably consent to, like, fucking someone in their 20s, really. I just think just saying it's rape, it's like you invoke all the weight of, like, someone fucking forcing themselves on someone. It's like, it wasn't quite the same thing, is it? People are so comfortable lying about me that I would not be surprised if one day someone bold enough comes along and kills me. None of this is true. I'm not a pedophile. I've never raped anyone, even though my ex admitted she lied and I've proved it. They continue. Okay. Let's see this. What's this recording?
Yes, I do. No, you don't. Why do you think I don't? I didn't have sex with you when you were 15. I have proof of that. No, you don't.
I didn't have sex with you when you were 15. I have proof of that. No, you don't.
Yes, I do. No, you don't. Why do you think I don't? Because I didn't do it. What do you mean? You didn't do it. I didn't have sex with you when you were 15. No, I didn't. All right, so, and when I was 16 as well? Yeah, when you were 16, yeah. But also when I was 15, and I have proof of this. No. Do you remember that drawing that I did that you threw away? That painting? That was painted in 2011. I was 15 years old. I have pictures of us that I took on my 3DS.
They were taking pictures on their 3DS. They were taking couple photos on the 3DS. Don't you guys love it when your teenage girlfriend pulls out a 3DS for a couple's photo? Isn't that awesome?
Of inside of the Double Dragon when I was 15. Our sexual relationship started immediately as soon as that happened. No. Yes, it did. No, I didn't even come to Louisville until I was able to buy alcohol. You were 21 when I was 15. Yeah. If you do the math, in 2011, 21 and 15. Yep. No, Lux. Yes. Listen. September 7th, 2011. I have a picture. And I have message logs because it turns out Facebook lets you archive everything. Even deleted profiles, all your message history. I have proof. I talked to Bryce about it. I have Siobhan as a witness. And this was before I had my lip piercing. You think this isn't coercion? This holding this over my head? You don't think that this has anything to do with the extent of our relationship, the way you've treated me, the way you used me, the way you've manipulated me? Lux, the way you just admitted that. I don't think everything is the root of that. No. No, I don't. I don't think our relationship here, since 2020, I don't think any of that had anything to do with who we were before.
Okay, well...
I didn't have sex.
Did they really cop to them being 15? I mean, it does sound like they're probably 15. Based on all the statements I've heard so far. But this person is overplaying this. But what do you expect? This is... Again, I kind of understand why Erin Green's so defensive, because obviously the trans Twitter freaks are trying to kill her. Because they try and kill, you know, when one of these trans people gets ousted from their little groups, all the other ones do just try and murder them. That is true. However, it does sound like you fucked a 15-year-old when you were 21. And that's kind of fucking crazy. That's kind of fucking weird. That's kind of fucking crazy. It's kind of wild. Anyway, that's the end of that. And that's trans rights are human rights, and that's that.